What's the manliest thing you've ever done? Jumped in front of a bus to push my dumb drunk friend out of the way. He never stopped saying sorry about it. Should add neither of us were injured. It just about missed my feet as I dived into him. Encountered a sick drug user at a doctor office threatening staff. Stood into him and took him outside. We chatted for about 20 minutes, while he settled down and was ready for his apt. Saved a guy from drowning. Saved a girl from sliding under a school bus when she slipped on ice. I was under 18 when both happened. I'm 40 now and my wife has met both people without me. They recognized my last name and told her the stories. Saw a car crash happen right in front of us on the interstate. Guy pinned between the dash and the guardrail was getting crushed. 5 or 6 of us lifted the car off of him and held it for 5 minutes or so until the fire rescue guys could secure it. Other guys would step in during the 5 minutes as guys got tired. Saved my brother from drowning in the ocean in Alaskan winter. He collapsed in the water and almost got hypothermia. I pulled him to shore, and he started seizing and graining. I carried him to the nearest shower and put him in warm water and slowly heated up the water over time. He later gained consciousness and thanked me. I could feel the adrenaline rushing through my veins while I carried him. That was the scariest moment of my life. Thankfully, a nearby newly wedded groom and bride saw the event and allowed us into their Airbnb. Pulled 6 people out of a burning home in just a pair of gym shorts. I was on the show NYing for what was supposed to be a hero episode. Had to go back in and get oxygen tanks to give to an older woman. I once roared at a mountain lion that was on my friend's property. It started at me for a second, then turned around and merged back into the night. I count it as a win. My son was born 10 weeks early. After a 2-month stay in the NICU, he came home and I was feeding him at 3 a.m. Anyone with a preemie knows what I'm talking about. Due to an unknown medical condition, my son puked up what was 2 to 3 days worth of milk. He began choking and stopped breathing for 120 seconds. Only reason I know this time frame is because I was able to perform 2 full sets of CPR and a 3rd set of chest compressions. Brought him back before the EMTs arrived. In case you are wondering what that was like, hold a 5-pound dumbbell in your hand and imagine doing CPR on it. We celebrate his 2nd birthday this March. I'm a high school teacher. I helped a group of boys tie their ties for graduation. Tying an elderly woman's shoes so that she wouldn't trip. That elderly woman used to be my grade 6 teacher. Gave my combative and delirious father sedatives to help ease his pain anxiety before he passed away. Then I helped the nurse wash him before the funeral home took him. I was 20 and studying to be a nurse. My wife lost her phone. I tracked it down with the app, walked into the convenience store it was in, and asked the guy at the counter. He had no idea what I was talking about. I pinged it and walked in the back room where the noise came from. I put my hand in the jacket pocket hanging on a hook. I held it up and said thanks for finding my phone and walked out. By the way, my wife did not lose it in that store. She lost it about 2 miles away from there. So he found it and took it there. It was the Find My iPhone app. For those asking. Chased down a large man who robbed 2 people at a football game. Took him down. Took his bag. And subdued him until police arrived. I then took off immediately, because I didn't want to have to do a police report. Saved a little girl from drowning after she was pulled out by a rip current. The lifeguards got mad and her parents never thanked me. Stood up to a freaking Canadian goose on the golf course that charged at me. I caught a line drive foul ball at Fenway with my bare hand. 99/100 times I probably screw it up. But not this time. Replay on the Jumbotron. I got a big cheer from the crowd for a few seconds. Felt unreal. Over 20 years ago. But still think about it every time I watch live sports. An older woman was in line ahead of me struggling to pay for her groceries. She was counting out a bunch of change while she left her purse in her cart. It wasn't much, so I slipped in $40 when she wasn't looking, and she found it when she went back in the purse and used the money to buy her stuff. Truth is, I didn't do that for a thank you. I recorded it for internet cred. It wasn't about what was right or wrong or even being nice. I just wanted her to hurry up so I can check out and leave. I've always been that guy who made excuses about fixing stuff. I don't have the right tools. I don't know how to take it apart, put it back together. I'm just gonna break it more, etc. Well, one day there was enough stuff around my house that needed fixing and I said frick it and bought some tools. Didn't get everything done perfectly, but it's good enough for the girls I go out with. Then I ended up with some tools and nowhere to put them. So I bought some lumber, lag bolts and some hangers. Took an afternoon and built myself a frickin' tool rack on my garage wall. Turned out really well actually. Managed to hang off of the thing without it coming out of the wall. Now my tools have a place. I know there's more manly stuff being posted in this thread, but I'm pretty proud of it and it was a big confidence boost when I put the finishing touches on it. Raised my son by myself with no help from his mother. He's a lawyer and my proudest accomplishment. My stepson's family was on the streets without a home. I took $130,000 out of my 401k and bought a home for them. They've been good about the repayment so far for over 2 years. My grandchildren will not be homeless. Got struck by lightning then went to work. Also one of the dumbest things I have ever done. Not so much my manliest act, more like the manliest I've ever felt. This was just last weekend. Wife and I have 2 small kids, so it's all hands on deck every day. But last Saturday was utterly slammed. At the end of the day, the wife and I collapse on the sofa and relax while watching TV. Eventually she falls asleep. About the same time the 2 kids are asleep too. I make sure all 3 of them are warm and comfortable. Then tiptoe into the kitchen and treat myself to a beer working on a personal hobby. Sitting at the dining table in the small hours of the night, I just felt happy. I constantly worry I'm not a good enough husband or father, but in that moment, when all of them were cozy, safe and fed, I felt like I was doing a good job. I felt like a good husband, a good father, and a good man. I was peeing once and a fly flew into my stream and I peed it right into the toilet. Changed someone's flat tire and proceeded to sleep with them. I have gotten up and gone to work almost every day for over 30 years to make sure my family has everything they need and most of what they want. I volunteered to get rid of the 2 spiders in my girlfriend's bedroom. After successfully doing so, I got laid within the hour. Walk out of the water after falling on some rocks and fricking up my leg and patiently help my older sister calm down while she was crying because I had hurt myself so that she could go get an adult and bring me to the hospital. I was 13 and already thinking straight in a crisis. I'm pretty proud of it. Not so proud of being a dumbass and getting hurt that way. I'd say it was talking mine and my team's way out of a Cardinals-dominated area without a scratch on any of us. Having weapons shoved up my face and still keeping any semblance of composure wasn't exactly easy. I admit that I almost shot myself after the fact. I used to let my daughter paint my nails when she was a toddler. She liked using a different color for each nail. For reference, I was a factory iron worker at the time. To the credit of all the rough, tough motherfuckers I worked with, not a single one ever gave me shit about it. Rode my Harley across town wearing a Dora the Explorer backpack to deliver to my granddaughter. Me and my buddy were working on a car I had just bought for my girlfriend. We were replacing the clutch master cylinder, which was a pain in the ass by the way. Anyways, the car was parked in her kinda steep driveway and the driver's seat got taken out so we could replace the clutch master cylinder. The hood was up and we were balls deep in the hood trying to replace this freaking thing when my buddy's big ass dog jumps in the car on the passenger side and somehow releases the emergency brake. The car starts rolling backwards out of nowhere, quite fast, downhill towards the neighbor's house, which it was going to crash into going relatively fast. Without thinking I booked it as fast as I could, jump through the driver's side window and with no driver's side seat barely managed to step on the brakes just before the car would crash directly into the neighbor's house. I saved my buddy's dog and the neighbor's house that day. Manliest thing I have ever seen in my life was my mom. When I was 6 or 7, in the late 80s, a disturbed woman at a park grabbed me by the neck and lifted me off the ground. Over her shoulder I saw my 5'4" mother clear a park bench like an Olympic athlete jumping a hurdle. She grabbed me from this woman, calmly set me on the ground, then turned to this woman and said, "You need to leave now or I will kill you where you stand." She left. I got ice cream. I had never seen my mother like that before or since. I couldn't really appreciate it until I was older, especially now that I have my own kids. I once dressed as a woman for a Halloween party. When I got out of my car at the party, a cop drove by. He backed up, rolled down his window, and said, "You're the ugliest woman I've ever seen," and drove away. I think his was wrong. Resigned my job and took a year off after my son was born. It's the very best year of my life so far. Saved a drowning puppy in the ocean at Pismo Beach 1 year. Gave hungry homeless man my food and happily had sleep for dinner. Overheard my drunk friend trying to get my girlfriend to flash him. Groggily got out of bed, punched him in the chest, put her over my shoulder, and carried her back to bed, all without saying a word. We're all still free and she's also now my wife. She was super turned on by it. I just wanted to go to bed and get her out of the situation. Well, I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I once played on the Wii without using the safety strap. According to my girlfriend, it's either building my own motorcycles or being okay with letting my daughter do my nails and makeup.